I take this opportunity and welcome everybody to the Independent Investor Channel. Live stream 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It is the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube, no doubt about it. I am humbled and I'm excited for you guys to give me the opportunity to come on and talk about my absolute favorite topic, which is personal finance, wealth building, maybe throw in a little bit of spending discipline for crying out loud, guys. We could all use a little bit of that, absolutely. But this is the flagship product that we've rolled out for years now. One of the original YouTube live streamers on, and I think we do a pretty good job of providing people a very, very deep message in understanding that it's not necessarily all about the personal finance niche, but what it means to be truly successful in this life, maybe take a touch of motivation away from this so it can all make sense. Right? What the hell are we looking to achieve in this life if we don't appreciate a damn thing that we're after? Right? We only get one shot at this deal. We do. So it really helps to come together and as a community and talk about some of the cool things that's going on right now in the thread. I want to take a moment and welcome Moki Finance as well. It's great to see you, my friend. I just awarded administrative status to Moki. I just love his message and a lot of good channel creators in here. I saw my brother. My brother just popped in here, Matt Money. Okay, I never thought I'd have a brother named Matt Money, but I do. Matt's in the group here as well as Rebecca. A lot of really good channel content creators want to help those guys support their message because, listen, at the end of the day, I'll probably give you the best advice for your mental health and well-being. Shut YouTube off for a while. Go do something else. All right. But while we do have the ability to come together for 60 fast minutes, it's always super important to acknowledge those folks that are taking it to the next level, looking to share their projects as ambassadors of the message. No doubt about it. Okay. The Independent Investor Channel was not built 5 years ago so people could come on and follow like a bunch of sheep. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of that. It's that you can take away some of those nuggets that are going to make sense for you so you can kind of carry your own flag forward. You really should be a self-regulating entity on your own, right? If you're doing this thing correctly, you should do things way better than I do it. You should do things that make sense to you that I don't do because they don't make sense to me. Right. And that's the key, is understanding that everybody does have an individual application. Everybody's got individual qualities and traits. I saw Australia represented already in the line here. So not only do we branch out from what we perceive to be some of our norms here in the United States of America, where we're domiciled and where the bulk of the perspective comes from, but we absolutely want to foot stomp and welcome our international audience that tunes into the independent investor opportunity because, you know, everybody in every pocket of the world is seeking out their own answers to the question of why we're doing this thing. Right? How can we extract more value? Is the juice worth the squeeze in a lot of cases, right? Where is it that I should be putting my attention? And so we're going to take this lesson a little bit deep tonight. I do have somewhat of an agenda tonight to follow as well. I did drop an invitation in there. I will be probably taking an invite if there's one to be had there for the last 15 minutes of the live stream. But as usual, I'm going to take the reins tonight and deliver an impassioned message to you guys on what it is that I feel like you can do yourself a favor on in pursuing this wealth building opportunity, what it means to me, and more importantly, what it could specifically mean to you in this journey of making this thing make sense. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Let's get right into it, guys. To be able to identify for yourself what it is that you're most proud of in yourself, right? Some of those things that you really, really value, because I think a lot of people, right, when they're tripping over themselves to fall over into the store to get that Black Friday deal, that's probably not that good of a deal anyway. Just watched a pretty good documentary. I recommend it. It's a one-part series on minimalism. And I was watching this and I was like, you know what, man, I'm a lot of what they're talking about. You might say, well, that's a bunch of crap, Ryan. You come on and you teach people how to get rich on YouTube. Um, if you follow some of the fundamentals that I teach on YouTube, you may end up falling into some riches or realizing some riches where if you didn't have the empowering message, you may not be as apt to seek those riches out. With that said, I think people really need to understand my perspective on wealth and what it means to appreciate what it is that you have in this life. There's a few things that I noted here on, and I really had to sit back and put some thought into not only what I feel like you shouldn't do, or things that really hold people back in what I see. And I don't mean this to be judgmental, because one of my things on here is to not hold yourself to a perfect standard, because I'm here to tell you, and again, I don't mean if you're out there and you think you're perfect, that's lovely. I'm here to tell you you're not. And I think when people are trying to pursue perfection as one of those attributes, I think you can really get into trouble. Some of the things that I tried to codify, and I tried to codify them in just one word, if I could capture what I see as some of the problems here in the United States. And this really was the motivation for this week's live stream, is this series on minimalism, or the show that I watched about these two gentlemen who go around and they talk about their experiences in corporate America. Some of them set up very, very nicely for wealth and riches, etc. The American dream, right? And one individual got the promotion of a lifetime and ended up walking away from that opportunity the very day that he got promoted. And we ask ourselves, why is that? Why is it here recently? Household spending has gone up to about $40,000 per household per year. How is that possible? Is it the very simple math that because we bring in 50, 60, $80,000 a year that we can justify spending that $40,000? Does the means justify the end? In other words, is the happiness that's being sought by making those purchases in the household being rendered? And the statistics show alarmingly that it's the exact opposite of that. It seems that if the more spending that we do, the unhappier we are. And unfortunately, I'd like to think that we're feeding into some of that unhappiness through social media, because I think that this, is, for the most part, is not all positive. I don't. I think most people need to disconnect. As a matter of fact, when I'm away from this 60 minutes, and I have a very, very robust social media presence, but I tell you what, I spend the majority of my time chasing my wife around, or hanging out with my kids, right? I'm away from this because I have a pretty good perspective on how to separate certain levels of opportunity, just like I have the ability to separate myself and especially my mental application from my money. Okay. Now that's a page out of my playbook. You can take it for what you will. There's going to be a lot of people come in and they're going to display their negativity and they're going to hit the thumbs down and they're going to completely disagree with me. That's totally fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But here's the thing. I find all the time that people really are consumed by and look to be defined by their money. And the more you can separate from that, I think the better off you'll be, and the more perspective you can have on what that wealth, whatever it is. Okay, wealth is relative in this life. It really is. I've known a lot of people that seemingly are the happiest people ever. My parents, a perfect example, right? They're not wealthy, they're not rich, but they're rich in a lot of different ways because they have perspective. They find value in gardening, they find value in having a home. They find value in stability. They find value in family, right? So certain things like that, health and well-being, right? Spiritual health, things like that that we need to be focused on. And I just, the question, the golden question is, how much time do we really need to spend focused on our personal wealth building application? I put through a podcast this week for the first time in a while. It was on the 3 Ps. And it's super important for you guys to understand the perspective there on the plan, the strategy, and the product. I made it really, really easy. It's a very good podcast. If you guys aren't linked into my Anchor through Spotify, you can link over to it on the Independent Investor homepage through YouTube. I encourage you to do that. I think a lot of people really do gravitate toward my podcast message. I'm tailor-made for it. It's not really that lucrative of a project, but I just enjoy the hell out of it. So I roll those out and I enjoy them. But the first don't that I want to bring to your guys' attention, and I'm going to roll through these rapid fire, and I think you're going to really appreciate the even deeper thought that I had to put into the do to counteract the don't. All right. But the first is materialism. I think materialism is one of those things that it's like the disease in our society, man. It's never enough. We always want more. And I think people fail to recognize that, yeah, you get a few seconds of euphoria. It's the dopamine hitting your mind when you buy certain elements of product or clothing or whatever it may be. But I think that really fades away. And I think the reality sets in that you have to continually feed that need to always strive toward accumulating stuff and always try to supplement your happiness with accumulating stuff. The problem is we're constantly going up and down, right? You get that euphoria for a few minutes, a few seconds, whatever it may be, and then boom, you're back down to desiring the next thing out there. And I thought the thing that you could probably do to really help you deal with materialism, I joke with a group all the time and I say, stop buying crap all the time. And I'm not your friend. I'm not your dad. All right. I'm just your friend through YouTube. And I'm not here to judge, man. You want to go spend your money? I've had a lot of friends, man, that are like, you know what? You only live once. Go spend it. To hell with you, Ryan. You suck. And I'm like, well, I don't suck, and neither do you. But hey, to each his own. It's all good. Go spend that bitch. I don't care. But the do that can really help you separate from the need to always accumulate from a materialistic perspective is to seek out spirituality. All right. Spirituality. Don't just go on a hike and stare at the trail. Go on a hike and really take it in, right? Allow yourself that opportunity to really separate the world as we know it, right? The car, the commute, the concrete, the buildings, right? For me, it's like Groundhog Day. You throw a commuter train in there, it's the same damn thing every single day. I make my coffee the same way every single day. I put the same set of clothing on. So for me, I've really got to be mentally tough, but the spiritual piece can really help a lot of people out there understand what I mean when I say stop buying so much crap. And now all of this lends into your investing program, what it is that you're looking to do. But I always contend that if you don't have the health upstairs to accept wealth, then I would rather not teach you how to build wealth, because I can teach you how to build wealth. It's just the unfortunate piece that I know that we'll build some capacity of wealth and we'll end up dissolving it away because you weren't mentally prepared to accept that wealth. Number two, I've already mentioned, I think people are too hard on themselves. I think the expectation of perfection, and again, I'm not going to get into the deep psychology of having social media right there in front of your face with people who seemingly have no blemishes. They don't sleep. They float around on a cloud, and they're absolutely incredible. They have wings out their back. It's like the expectation is perfection. And I think if people really took a hard look and accepted themselves for who they are, all the flaws, and I think that is the acceptance piece, and to really accept the goods and the bads, Yeah, and I think some people, they have unfair expectations of themselves being, perfect all the time. And when they can't achieve that, sometimes, some of those negative things, which is another don't that I've got on the list, start to set in, and it starts to become a little bit self-deprecating, in that we spend the majority of our time seeking perfection, never achieving anything in way of productivity. And therefore we kind of get stuck in a rut a little bit. Number three is complacency. This is a tough one. And I said that the solution would be to always remain in motion. Okay. There have been 1,000 opportunities for me to justify in my mind walking away from the independent investor channel. Okay. If by popular metrics, okay, you could judge my channel and say, hey, you've got X number of subscribers. That's the end all be all. You should be here and you're down here somewhere. Um, you're working way, way too hard for very little money. And honestly, for any YouTuber out there, I just saw my good friend, my brother J Mac Investing, actually popped into the group here. He can attest to this, man. You work pretty hard on the onset to not make a lot of money. And I think a lot of YouTubers, they start with the expectation that I think they're going to just make a ton of money. And some do. Some do. The power of social media is very, very powerful. But I always tell people, man, have some intent behind the message before you get started. In other words, you're going to be excited to start this project, but man alive, it's very, very easy to allow complacency to set in a little bit, because again, if you don't experience that immediate success, right, it can be very, very easy to second guess yourself and say, man, am I doing what I'm doing? Are we reaching people? Okay. And the second thing to help with that complacency piece is you're going to set things in motion that don't work. But when they do work, you want to keep that momentum going. Okay. And this doesn't just apply to YouTube, it applies to you, and it applies in everything that you're doing. Okay. Like, I dabbled in coaching last spring for the first time. I was an assistant coach. They asked me to step up into the head coaching position, right? Sure. Now I'm moving up where I'm expected to be that head coach and really solidify my program and the meaning for the kids. That's kind of what I mean. I got a little momentum there, and I want to keep that momentum going. Now I love coaching my kid. It's one of those things that I love doing on the side. It's fantastic, and you guys should see some of my Vince Lombardi speeches. These kids are 10, mind you, and they're looking up at me like, what's this guy talking about? I'm like, yeah, just do it. Fire, I'm intense, but hey, listen, they'll be good for it, and they'll remember me the rest of their life. Number four, selfishness. All right. It's okay to do some things for some personal reasons, but don't make that the holistic element of your application. Okay. Really, everybody has the desire to get ahead a little bit. At least I hope that for the group. At least I think that's somewhat of an element of what people feel like they get when they come on the independent investor channel and many other channels, is they're looking for that one little sense of, hey, man, I can take that nugget and I can put it to work for myself. But I think where it starts to become selfish is when you don't want to give back at all, and you think that your method to success is the only way, and it's like, you got to give me, give me, give me, and the second that you cross me, right, it's not going to work. Okay. The solution there, I think, in falling into somewhat of a selfish path, I think, is to seek out companionship. And I think it's one of those things that I touch on all the time, whether it be in your friend network, which I think we've got a pretty good community here, but certainly family, and then as well as the pinnacle, which is are those intimate relationships, right? The immediate family, right? The person that you can confide in. And I mean, there's only one of those for me, right? And if I could wish or impart something to you guys, it's that. And to spend whatever time you need to devote to that. This is the most difficult thing for me, to sit across and say, hey, you need to do this, but I don't have a lot of renderings as far as where you're going to uncover that perfect thing, that right rock that you're going to kick over. Mine just so happened to be a very, very magical night in Hollywood, California, and the rest is history. My wife and I, we talk about it all the time, right? It was one of those things that were meant to freaking be, and it happened. And I would wish that upon anybody. Number five, keeping up with the Joneses, man. The jealousy piece is absolutely incredible to me. I find it ironic how we don't say, hey, great job anymore. I try to do that all the time. I try to invite people to come in and they say, hey, I'm at that 10,000 threshold, Ryan. What do you think? And I'm like, that's amazing. Great job. But I find it ironic. And I see this even with people that are somewhat close to me, and I will go out of my way to say, hey, that's great, good job, good job. I love doing that, and I don't really think that there's anything wrong with that, but I find it interesting how we can't enjoy success in others. And the irony in the whole thing is what we typically perceive, especially when we're looking to keep up with the Joneses, is it's not always as good as you perceive it to be in others. What I mean by that is you're conveniently seeing that Corvette in the driveway. What you're not seeing is the car payment and the insurance that's being rendered. You're not seeing how tough it is to drive those things down the road and not get pissed off when a rock comes and takes a chip out of the paint, right? Because you know there's another $1,000 bill to get that thing fixed. We always want to just buy into and be jealous of this image. And I think sometimes the disconnect between what we perceive in others and what is actually going on is the real disconnect. And I think the solution to that is contentness. To actually be content with what it is that you have, as little as you can recognize in yourself, and just be content with that. You're okay. All right. The title of this video is if you want success, distance yourself from these types of things. The real secret to the whole equation is that you guys all, if you sat back and you looked at your spouse who may be watching this or maybe just won't watch it with you, or maybe look at your kids out playing in the pool, right? Or your granddaughter or your grandson or your kids, and just sit back for a second and say, hey, man, I'm all right. Ryan's right. And I am. I'm right. I think a lot of people just don't understand that it's all good, baby. It's all good. It's okay. But sometimes we really have to sit back and say, you know what, man? It is all good. I've allowed myself to kind of get this snowball to overtake me a little bit in life. And I think I need to sit back sometimes and maybe hear somebody like myself say, you know what? You're all right. You're all right. And the last thing is the negativity piece. The don't is to be negative, and I find this interesting. I do this sometimes too because I'm critical of myself. The difference between me and a lot of people is the fact that I can be critical without being negative. And anytime I hear negativity, I try to block it out. The only time I allow negativity to come into my mind and I put it in there is when I'm hitting the bag. I think about all the things for the week that, something at work that got me charged, right? A phone conversation that maybe didn't go as well as I would have hoped, maybe a charge or, an interaction with a colleague that's like, man, that was kind of weird. Those are the times I allow those to come in. And it's amazing as I'm hitting the bag and I'm trying to force feed that in, it becomes more difficult to introduce that negative thought as I'm continuing the workout. And when I'm finished punching the bag, it's gone. It's gone. And I'm back to reset again, where I'm always hungry and looking for that positivity. Okay. Super, super important. All right. There's going to be good and there's going to be bad. I'm not sitting here telling you to live in a freaking euphoria all the time, to live in some, utopia. Oh my goodness. Ryan, Ryan doesn't know how bad I have it. I don't know, guys. I've been through some interesting times in my life, and good on me for actually staying positive through those times. And when I was 50-50 negative, verging on the edge of depression, I mean, there's photos of me just staring out at the ocean up in Alaska, just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Making no money. I'm stuck. This is like jail, right? But in reflection of what I did for those 7 years out working on the fishing boats, 15 to be specific. What I learned is how to separate my thoughts, okay, and how to really control my thoughts. That's the key. And if I can impart to you guys, that would be what I would wish upon you guys. Absolutely. I got a few attributes for myself, my five. I'm going to save them for the end of the live stream. And a few two key elements, takeaways for you guys, really some kind of homework. If you like the message that we've got tonight, because I really want to prepare everybody, because I think the stock market, as indicated by at least the last, I mean, I took a $15,000 bill just this week. Stock market with a well-laid plan is very, very rewarding. I've said this for 5 years, okay? But I've also said, and for those of you who have been with me for a long, long time, investing is a shallow topic. It's kind of shallow. In other words, I don't get on here and blah, blah, like invest, it'll make you happy. That's a bunch of bullshit. It is. It's the biggest bullshit that I've like. If that's what you're tuning into YouTube to get, you honestly need to shut it off. You really do. You need to shut it off, and you need to try to find whatever it is that you're looking for somewhere else, because you're not going to find that. Okay. Investing is just not that. I've been doing this a long, long time. Wealth building, whatever your number is, do you honestly think that the size of your number is going to be the degree of happiness that you have inside? Of course not. Of course not. Right? So we want to strive for increasing our number. Yes, but take it in stride. Okay? Take it with a little bit of humility as well. You know, I mean, I, some of the investments that I have right now are shaping up to be incredible. I'm 12% to my goal with my highly on holding. What happens if it reaches 100% to my goal? I'm a millionaire. Okay. Now, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to come on here and dress up like a clown and start yelling and screaming and telling the whole world that I'm the most badass investor in the world? Because what? Because I invested in a stock that went up, which it will. Like, there will be no surprise for me, okay? But take it with some humility, because the more we can break down barriers to success in stock market investing, the better off we'll be, and the more we'll take those successes in stride, in that we expected them to happen and that we are not surprised when they do happen, okay? Very, very important. Let's jump in and take a look at some portfolio, guys. This is how it shook out for the week. Very, very big. I did not, I just see right here, I didn't update the value. This is actually 106 on this, 92% in this portfolio here. We took profits in Facebook again, and I rolled it back into the Roth. So swung trade the hell out of that. I'm just absolutely channeling Facebook right now. And I'm in a zone. I'm raking in some good money. Down in Amazon right now. Wish will recover, that's fine. And then Lind is the newest in the materials there. VTI, man, I'm up a $250 bill already. I've owned it for 5 days. Just what an incredible. And so from the perspective of a new investor, you guys need to sit back and understand why I do this. I do this from just, this is the P, the last P in the cycle here when we're looking at product that could be available to you. All right. And the Roth here, this is my wife's, just went over 127. So really cool. It's nice to see SoFi convert over. And then the SoFi warrants, obviously, I did not learn the first time. It might be the last time I invest in warrants. I don't know. Somebody can disagree with me and tell me I'm wrong. But it's just been a really poor experience for me. And I don't know if it's partially criminal in that they just award all these warrants initially to all the original investors in some of these early incepted companies, because warrants are very commonplace. But it's amazing to me how the common price adjust down to what the conversion would be. It's not even worth even converting at that point, and even paying the $30 conversion fee. But I'm still holding the SoFi warrants, and I'm very bullish on the company. I'm very happy to own it. And I guess the silver lining is that I really want to convert to stock. I hope they call the warrants. I don't care. But it was nice to see that conversion this week. in the account. Nothing too crazy here. There's the Facebook new addition in there. So we rolled that back into the Roth, just a 10 share position, nothing too crazy. And then Roth 2, there it is. Nothing too crazy to report here, except for this little gem, OGN, which was it was a spinoff from Merck. And that just happened today. So for anybody out there that have owned Merck, got the spinoff of OGN, it was 1 for every 10 shares owned in the account. I went ahead and emboldened this position up and added another 50 shares because I actually liked what I saw with regard to about 30 names in the pharmaceutical space. They've got about $4.5 billion in sales per year. So it was a pretty interesting kind of self-regulating company under the envelope of Merck, and they've spun off. So that's where that comes from there. But 124, so almost to that 125 mark there. This is the passive, up week over week, few $100, nothing crazy. We did the review this week on this. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. And then the 72 holding stock portfolio from a passive perspective there, a couple bucks away from 19,000 in here. Next financial threshold in here, 25,000. I've had a few people come in late to the channel and they're like, Ryan, how did you start this? How much did you start it with? I 1,500, 2,500, 500, doesn't really matter. You know, the whole point is I take multiple buckets and I build them up to something, and then people tune in and they're like, wow, I want 20 grand. And it's like, start with 500, just like I did. And that's the whole key takeaway. This is a wealth building initiative here on the Independent Investor channel, right? All right. TSP was down just a touch. I just don't think it had the time to calibrate before I did the calcs before the live stream tonight. No big deal. And then the Hyliion cash secured puts, those will pay off. Geez, it's not going to see single digits again. The action on Hyliion has changed completely. So it's went from being heavily shorted to now shorts kind of holding a little bit of a bag here that tried to suppress the stock at $8 and $9. And I don't think we'll see those levels again, guys. I really don't. I'm done accumulating shares in Hyliion. And I came out with the videos where I thought was a really just a screaming entry. And I don't know what people were waiting for at $8, $9 there, but wrote those nines at a strike of 9. Those will roll off the 18th and the 25th respectively, but I'll collect that premium. Those will expire worthless, no doubt. And then the portfolio value there, right? So way over, getting a little bit interested. I don't know. I don't come from money, so it's interesting to me to say how much longer can this last? Is the market overvalued? Yeah. Should I just sell everything and sit on the side? I saw Jason's title of his video pop into my feed. I sold 30% of my stock or something. That might not be the worst idea here. With the market just kind of in the stage right now that I don't really understand. I'm really putting some thought into this, and I'm kind of taking a double whammy here in the portfolio in that I've got a very speculative group of stocks in Hyliion, SoFi, and Wish right now. Wish and SoFi, I'm not quite so interested in. Hyliion, I'm very interested in because I'm very, very overweight, and I'm actually over my risk tolerance in Hyliion. Just speaks to my conviction and bullishness on the company, right? Which is fine, but the portfolio is going to go where that position goes, and it's obvious the little bit of swell this week. I mean, you see the power of owning such a large position in such a hyper growth company, just pumping out good news, just pumping it out. And when this starts to trickle down to the order line, it's going to be off to the races. And then it's going to be the second phase of holding, which I think is going to be the toughest stage, is to run this through from where it is right now all the way up to where my first price target is. Okay. So very, very important there. 2 keys. I just want to throw these at you because I put some thought into this, and you may like this, you may not. It's fine. Couple keys. You need to know yourself. Okay, you need to have a sense of yourself. Okay, if you're confused about who you are, especially in the investing world, that's what I talk about as defining your strategy, like what type of investor you want to be. We throw some of those like, hey, here's some of the personality traits of a passive investor. Here are some of what's necessary for more of an active profile, and you can kind of sit back and say, hey, here's how Ryan deploys, and I deploy those multiple strategies. But take this into account. I don't deploy the same strategy on the active side of the portfolio that I do in the passive side of the portfolio. As a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. I know what goes into, or what little goes into, the passive element. So I enjoy that element. And I take that time provided by the passive investing element in the portfolio, and it allows me to put my efforts and focus where it is absolutely needed and required. Okay. So you got to know yourself, have a sense of yourself, and know what your range of limits are. Okay. I think one thing that you can kind of understand is how many of you guys have really tested yourself. I mean, got involved, immersed in a project. I know I just saw Kyle pop in, and I know he has experienced this. When you get locked into a project at night and you're so locked in that you're in the right side of the brain and you're experiencing building that product, and you know you've got a long way to go, and you continue to drive. A lot of people might say, I don't know, I've never done anything like that before. I think that's really a problem. People need to really try to push themselves past those bounds of what they think is possible, because then you can define for yourself what it is actually possible of yourself. All right. Super, super important. So understanding the potential of yourself is really important in starting to define that range of understanding what's tolerable. All right. And I'm going to give you my 5 attributes. These are the 5 things that are the most important to me. This is what makes me tick. All right. This is my highly on charge right here. Number 1, family. Number 2, health. Number 3, wealth. I like money. I like the topic. I don't know. That's just how I'm wired. I apologize. Security. Okay. You can define that however you will. And in one word, the 5th element that makes me tick is free. I'm free. Okay. It's one of my favorite words. I'm free mentally. I'm a free spirit. If I could drop my day job, which I won't, I really love my affiliation with my day job. I love what I do with YouTube. I'm living life. I'm having a great time. I don't live in the future. I live in the now. I'm very happy now. But if I could travel the world and I had the means to do so, like Monday, I'd jump my ass on an airplane. I'd be gone. I'm out. See you later. And I would not look back. It's all good. Right? Free. Those are some of the things that really help me. And I will mention a couple other things, and you can take this and hopefully ask yourself, do I have some of these things? Do I appreciate what I have? Right? Maybe I'm a millionaire and I'm angry all the time. I don't know. Have a little appreciation. And that's one thing about me that hopefully comes through on the channel is my appreciation for the opportunity to build wealth, the opportunity to share through a YouTube audience what it is that I do in my wealth building. Maybe share a little bit of element about kind of what makes me tick, because that is going to allow you to connect with me a lot better if you understand what it is that makes me tick. Things that you can relate with and say, yeah, man, Ryan's right. I that's really what makes me go. I love my family. I love the fact that, we eat well, or we pursue spiritual, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Perspective for me, very, very important. I have perspective coming out my ears. And finally, the fact that I always try to lead. I very, very rarely ever rely on anybody, if ever. Whereas I do open up the opportunity for people to rely on me from a leadership perspective at 99, if not 100% of the time. I very, very rarely ever would seek somebody out and ask for a favor or lean on them. Borrowing money from somebody, that just doesn't even enter into my mental capacity. So I don't understand how certain people justify it. To each his own. It's just not within my pedigree. I'm always very, very forward leaning in my application, and I'm always trying to push the envelope forward. All right. So let's get into this for the last 20 minutes, guys. I do want to highlight some of the featured guests in the live stream for sure. And I was telling All Good, it was funny. I was looking at one of my things not to do, and it just so happened to be selfishness. And All Good popped in and left a comment, and I said, there it is. That's the important solution, is seeking companionship. So when I saw All Good pop in, I thought, there it is. There's the yin and yang that I needed to kind of counteract why people fall into this kind of self-serving behavior for themselves. And I think that's what it can kind of come down to. And it's fixable, right? It really is. It's just, when was the last time you put any time into that, right? Do you value that? I sure as hell did. I was glad I was looking at the time I was looking, right? Because I just could have been doing a zig while my future wife was doing a zag and missed out on that opportunity, and that would have changed my life forever. But it's amazing how things do happen. I got the Viper in the group here. As to Jamie, thank you for all your contributions to the group. Jamie, it's great to see you. And Chris, another Viper as well. It's been with me a long time. It's great to see you. Good evening to you. It's fantastic. And Aussie, this is one of my favorite ETFs, the high yielder, right? The Vanguard product. And that's part of the gig, is when you can take some of the products that we roll out. The whole idea on the Independent Investor channel is awareness. Okay. It's not me come on and provide you information and you just blindly go deploy. It's comments like this that I really appreciate, where you've got a good piece of sound information, probably something that I've invested in myself and had some success with, and you will. There's an infinite number of ways. If you own a diversified suite of products like this, especially in a conducive market, you're going to do well with those assets. These groups of companies, especially within a high yielding type of product like the VYM or the VIG, those products just have way too much. They're chucker blocked full of quality, right? So you can succeed in a lot of different capacities. You just need to identify what level of risk you're willing to take on to render some of that success. Absolutely. Yeah, Victor's in the group. Great to see you, my friend. Fantastic. I love it. Cruising down here. Bob says, old Bob reporting for duty. This just wouldn't be the same. I'm just very, very excited to know you guys, and I thank you for your involvement in this community as we look to build this project into the years ahead. Absolutely. This isn't going anywhere. For those of you that are in the live stream right now, we've got about the most numbers that have popped in tonight, and will probably pop in. Just one announcement that I've made through the channel. We will have Lior Gantz on tomorrow at 1:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. If you're unsure of the time on that, please click in, subscribe if you need to the channel. But if you're not, go ahead and set your announcement for that. That's going to be awesome. This guy's brilliant. He's an absolute pleasure to have on. It was one of my favorite interviews, if not my favorite, that I've ever done. He's a brilliant investor mind. He's joining us from Israel. So kind of a special treat. And if you've got a few minutes, if you don't, no big deal. I'll be uploading it to the channel after we're done, but it will be delivered live. And that way you have a chance to see it without commercial interruption and all that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm a student of the investing game, and I'm pretty excited to see what he's got to say tomorrow. We got Eric Weber in the house here. Fantastic. Good evening to you. We got Jeff Koski. Fantastic. Welcome to the message. Appreciate. Absolutely. Eric said he's got the grandkids over. Fantastic. Throwing them around the pool. Very cool stuff, man. Like I said, I dubbed Moki Finance admin. Moki's an awesome channel. Did a great job, great message. So for you guys that want my stamp of approval, I try to give as many as I possibly can. Moki's been around for a while. Really good message, and you can kick over and boost up those subscriber numbers as trying to build up their messages and just another arm of opportunity. I have a lot of fun with the Independent Investor channel. It's fun for me. I could come on and talk stock if nobody came in and listened to me. But the very fact that, people come in and they listen to the live stream every week and about 1,000 views every single week. I know there's a lot of people who can't catch the live stream, especially my UK audience. They catch it the next morning over tea, which is great. It's awesome, but very cool stuff. Yeah. Little chill of a message tonight, man. I'm not I'm not all fired up and cursing to the moon. I can get there, but not tonight, man, for sure. You as well, excited for the message. Yeah, tonight's message was a little deep and make sure we're striking at the heart of allowing people to understand their own capability when building finance. Remember, we're advocating for the retail investor. Retail investors are usually the subject of real criticism in their investing application. And in some capacities, a lot of those criticisms are legit. I shake my head a lot of the times in some of the applications and just avoidable mistakes that I see all the time. People really need to get this mental stuff right before they enter into the investing game. And do I dare say, if you can't get the mental aspect right, I would say don't invest. Okay. Investing is what it is. It's not going to make you happy. It's not, it can lose you a lot of money. There's no doubt it can make you a lot of money, but just make sure that you're doing what you need to do in way of due diligence to make sure that you're as prepared as you possibly can without the expectation of perfection. Okay. But at least to have some level of mental aptitude to make sure that you can accept that level of responsibility when it comes to wealth that ultimately you're going to get to. Okay. Ultimately, you're going to get to that first $10,000. The idea is to get there as soon as you possibly can. The question is, are you going to have the maturity to pursue that next financial threshold at 25,000 and 50? The answer is yes for me. I mean, here I am. I just passed a large milestone. Do I have the mental capacity to continue to persevere? Yes, I have, because I've had those mental acceptances of the plan and the discipline necessary to apply said plan. Super important for me to continue to trudge on. It's super important. All right. Matt says Ryan prints. Yeah, I don't necessarily print. My account prints, right? I put the account in place to give the potential of printing. But yeah, I guess so. We're doing all right. We're living to fight another day. I don't know. This market makes me nervous. I don't know. It makes me nervous. I think we're in for something interesting coming into the fall. Mark my words. I think we're in for something. What it is, I'm not really sure. I'm pretty max invested right now, and two-tier. I've got some pretty big positions in some passive assets, right? Some pretty big positions in some large cap growth, some pretty big positions in some dividends, and then finally the speculative positions. So I think from an exposure perspective, I think I'm a little overboard right now. I'm a little bit in overdrive, but I'm acceptive of that based on the strength of the program. So we'll see, and we'll continue to be an investor. It's fine. I talk like this to give you guys some idea of my insights on the market, but that's not indicative of me going in and panicking my way out of the market on Monday. That's not going to happen. So we'll continue to be an investor, and when it comes time to rest on the strength of my plan, then I'll do that. All right. Very cool. I'm gonna cruise down here. I'm gonna try to cherry pick. There's a thumbs up. That's what it looks like right there. Somebody hit a thumbs down before I came on. I don't understand that. I really don't. It's okay. I mean, hit the thumbs down if that's what makes you feel good. It's all good. Very cool. And Tanis in the house. It's great to see you. And Anthony's in the house, man. Anthony's great to see you. Fantastic. It's great to see you. All right. Build Wealth Media, great content as always. Yeah, 60 minutes is mine. I take it. I deliver as much energy as I possibly can in this. It's important. It's important that people feel refreshed. They can come on every Friday, It's entertaining for me. I love doing it, man. I really do. And I know myself. This product has evolved in what it is, and it does have potential to be improved upon. But it's going to be long standing for a while, and I think that would be my criteria if I was going to buy into a delivery of a message, etc. It would be that. Am I buying into something that's just going to dissolve away? And I can tell you this: as long as I'm around, the Independent Investor Channel live stream will always be the flagship going forward. I do enjoy this, and I appreciate you making your way onto the message this evening. It's awesome, very cool. People running around buying stuff they can't afford. Yeah, but that's a really smart statement. I don't want to be rude. I think there's people out there and friends of mine that would just argue up and down. I mean, they've got every square inch of their wall covered. I have family members that just they're not happy. In Christmas, they've got tinsel on every square inch of the walls. You walk into their house and it's like, wow, Merry Christmas. Jesus. Oh, all right. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. You know pictures hanging up on every square inch of the walls and new furniture all the time, and I don't know, whatever floats your boat, I guess. If I didn't have a larger portfolio, I guess I could have supplemented with stuff. you know the problem between if I took all that stuff and I put it into a big pile, what will it be worth in 20 years? Okay. Conversely, if I take my portfolio and I put it into a big pile, what will that be worth in 20 years? Okay. I'll leave that to you guys. All right. Very cool. Couldn't agree more. Enjoy sitting in front of my business drinking the tea. Yep. Enjoying the lightning. But yeah, definitely. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Those are the little things. You got to get that spiritual side right, man. It's super important. All right. Very cool. I should say when I'm off work. Yeah, she's always tuning in from work, man. She's a devout subscriber to the channel and message, and it's very cool. I'm humbled. Thank you so much for your support. It's awesome. Like I said, I have to go check out that message anyway. And Jason's moved in. He's got his studio. He's filming from his new house. So congratulations, Jason, man. That's pretty awesome. I'm super happy for you and the family. Course for giving a self-help course. I don't know, man. Who the hell am I? I think a lot of people come on and they pose like they have all the answers. I'm the first to admit I don't. Do I feel like we're making a difference? Yeah, I do. A lot of what I talk about, I've been through and done that. So it's not as if I have some like, psychological answer to all questions because I've studied. I just kind of have an idea of maybe what could work, what works for me, and what maybe could work for you. So, yeah, appreciate that though, Jay. Very cool. Josh Chamberlain's in the house, man. Very cool. Somebody's talking about a big announcement. What the hell's the big announcement? Did I miss that? You guys are all talking in the thread, leaving me in the dark over here running this deal. Yeah. It's the wind, almost mystical, timeless quality you get when you're at peace with everything around you. Hard to describe. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, life is good, man. Well said. Couldn't agree more. You cruise on down. Got to give my Becky shout out for sure. I hope all is well with you. It's great to see everybody. It was just kind of at work talking about reinstating some of our best work practices from 2 years ago because, when the pandemic set in, it's like everything changed for a while, and it kind of feels like maybe we're coming out of it. At least hopefully we are. Absolutely. And David Mathis is in the group. Everyone stay positive. Yeah, absolutely. Stay positive. Some hella success going on. If you're involved in the stock market right now, you're rendering success. There's no doubt. It's a pretty interesting time in the stock market right now. For show. Moki's got the rockets. Yeah, I'm so bullish on this company. It's not even funny. There's a couple things that need to happen. Couple last dominoes that need to happen, I think, they need fleet adoption. Okay. I guess what I'm interested in, this stock is not going to give you an opportunity to just say, now's the time. Okay. Because just a month ago, it was at $8. And everybody was like, it's going to $5, I'm sure. And I was like, I don't really care what it does. It can do whatever it is, because it's not important what the stock does at that particular juncture. And that's what I think a lot of people have a hard time with, is seeing what the future potential of a company is. Like, in other words, when this thing is at 25, they'll look back and say, man, was that the end? They'll look back when it's at 50 and say, gosh, I should have done this. And when it's at 75, 100 and beyond, when and if they realize the potential that I think that they have, and they still need to make that a reality. I just think the setup is just way, way too good for that not to happen. Then you start to look back and say, man, I had the opportunity to get in on one of those groundbreaking opportunities. And where Nikola has the favor right now in the market, I really think the elephant is in the room for Nikola, is in that I think they're really trying to take on more than they can handle. I think for a long time, Tesla did the same thing. They took on a ton of different debt. The difference there was that there was a big, big demand for Tesla. I don't know how much quantifiable demand there is for the Nikola product. I really don't. It's not superior in its performance, and it's not superior in its ability to have any type of fuel comparison between the hydrogen cost to diesel equivalent. Companies know this. Not only that, but if it was on par with diesel, where the hell are they going to get it? Right? So some real roadblocks there, and that's my insight. I'm not accumulating any more shares. I'm going to allow these last contracts to roll off. I'll collect my last little dab of premium. I've made a small fortune with the options with Hyliion, and I was buying 100 share bullets at a time. Boom, 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 boom. And I'll sit on the position that I have. I'm happy, very, very happy that we're able to base the position. And I don't know if it goes back to 10, no big deal, no big deal. If it goes to 15, I'll re-engage in the second phase of the strategy of owning this fine company and enjoy it rolling out over the next couple of years, because there's certain milestones that I really want to see roll out on the company. I really do. And those aren't set until fall, when the demos start to roll out to the 10 identified in the ERX Innovation Council. It's going to be super exciting. It's super smart the way they're going about this business with the integration and the OEM. And I honestly think here at $11.50, it's still a buy. But for me, I'm good. I've accumulated my position. I'm done. So JMax says Hyliionairs mount up. We'll see. If it ends up at my first price target, I will be a millionaire. That's just what it is. And I'll take it in stride. It is what it is. It's just a sound investing decision. If it goes to zero, I'll lose my investment. It's just that simple. But it'll be fun. It's one of those companies that I'm really excited to own. Very, very bullish. And I've set myself up to kind of monitor the progress from an active perspective over the next couple years. So we're getting down to a few minutes left anyway, guys. We've got a ton of people at the bottom of the gallery. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody. Just had a ton of people here to jump in. Financial options. Late to the party. I'll watch the replay. Appreciate that anyway. But if you guys did catch me, I will re-announce tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern Standard. We'll be having Lior Gantz. He's scheduled to be with me for 60 minutes, which is great. I'll take every bit of it, and I won't say too much because I really love to get his insights. It will probably be centric cryptocurrency, gold, silver, stock market investing trends, the new administration, is the stock market overvalued, that type of thing. So what the heck? It is a very, very brilliant, one of the most respected minds on the earth, actually. And he's coming on the channel to be a featured guest. And we're glad to feature him and welcome him back to the channel for the second time. So with that, guys, we'll go ahead and sign off. I will get on with my evening, and I will close down the 60 minutes for you guys as well. I want to thank everybody. Really, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on and host the live stream on the Independent Investor channel. With that said, please understand that you're all part of the success of the community here, man. Your piece is yours. Your success is yours. And hopefully, we've given you some insights there to focus on and help you with your empowered journey going forward. So, with that, guys, we'll sign off and we'll catch you tomorrow for the Leor Gantz live stream, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Have a great rest of the weekend.